A very good evening, everyone. A very good evening, everyone. Maza nahi aaya. Can we just all get up once? We are not going for a run, so the odds can be less. So, can we have your right hand up, the left hand sideways, now the right hand sideways, and three claps louder. Thank you for the standing ovation. Please have a seat. I think this was better than the good afternoon. So, welcome here to ESCON 2025 at Goa. It's indeed a pleasure to have all you cyber security leaders here under one roof, where there'll be numerous panel discussions, exchange of knowledge, insights. And just to begin all this, why not start with your voice? What was your voice, your perception? And for that, we have this cybersecurity insights that I'll be sharing with you today. Oops, sorry. Okay. So, just a second. So, there's some problem, Vishnu. So, as he's fixing that, so as we are talking about cybersecurity, and ESCON is all about that. But as we have evolved and seen, we have noticed that cybersecurity is no longer the conversation around technology. It has moved beyond technology now. It includes now that how businesses are articulating with each other, how the strategies are being there for business resilience, stakeholder trusts, and what is the way forward, how we can prepare a resilient strategy when you're thinking about your enterprises. And for this purpose, we conducted a survey earlier this year in the month of January to March, where overall around 1,200 cybersecurity leaders participated from South Asia. And if I talk specifically for India, we had around 500 to 600 cybersecurity leaders. And the slides that I will be showcasing here in front of you today would be your voice of the cybersecurity leaders right here in this room and beyond across India, that what has been their perception, their change in the strategy and landscape, how these strategies are evolving, considering both technology and the business objective in their mind. And you'll see the amalgamation, the overall average output across industries and across enterprise sections also. So from SMBs to large enterprises at a collated where how things are changing. And in fact, we have seen something very amazing last week where there was an Indo-Pak war conflict. While the soldiers were there fighting to secure the peripherally for our country, India, there were a lot many cyber attacks that you as cybersecurity leaders were facing during the same time. A lot of increase in the overall cyber attacks was something that you as CISOs and cybersecurity leaders were parallelly facing within your organization. And there have been numerous numbers out there in the secondary where a couple of the organizations mentioned that the overall increase in the cyber attacks volume increased between 15 to 85 million. And if we go to specifically organization wise, then the count is something net new attacks. If I look for, the count has increased from 30 to 40 for each and every organization. And when we assess the overall maturity, while this was one of the questions that we had asked the CISOs and cybersecurity leaders, that where they stand in terms of maturity level, I would say the maturity is just not limited to the tools that you have within your organization or in your infrastructure. When it comes to maturity, it is about if under attack, how do you, as cybersecurity leaders or your organization, react to those cyber incidents or breaches? What is your overall incident response? what is the agility that you are bringing on the table, and along with that, how much are you ensuring that the business continuity remains same and you are able to deliver value continuously, ensuring that the organization continues to work at the same pace without an hiccup. This is what the maturity lies. And it's an amazing thing. We also asked that, how many of them would have received some of the other cyber incident in their organization in last 12 months. And if we talk about today, how ready you are. It is amazing to see that 9 of 10 organizations stated that when they are under attack, post that, they emerge more stronger, more prepared, and more mature to face new attacks. So, this is something which is commendable because whether or not you are under breach, it's about how well prepared you are for the next time, more proactively, more reactively, and more strategically in a very resilient manner. It is also amazing that how the strategies have changed when it comes to from the CISOs or for the cybersecurity leaders. There's always a mixed bag. Starting from in terms of proactive threat monitoring, there is zero trust architecture that is into consideration, and compliance is another major thing that is being considered by the cyber leaders when they are preparing for these strategies. And along with that, now how organizations are moving is security by design. So when we had this survey, there were three elements which came out very clearly out of the survey, which are becoming the foundation of the cybersecurity strategies across enterprises. One is the threats that are definitely keeping all you CISOs on your toes 24 by 7. Their dynamism is changing. Their impact, the level of impact, the nature, everything is changing, but you are there standing in a very resilient way against those threats. Second change, which is coming in the strategy, are based on compliances. Because now compliances are also coming in a major foreplay. They are also evolving and maturing. It's been more than a year. India had its own DPDP Act. Definitely, the overall journey to ensure that it gets inculcated in your overall strategy may take some time, but yes, it is there. Along with that, there are numerous other regulations by vertical, by geography. There are technology based regulations that are being considered by the cyber leaders. And the third and the foremost critical player in that base is AI, artificial intelligence. AI has that dual role, whether it can be used as a support system for you for your strategies and by the adversaries also. So, how you take care of AI's pact from good, bad, ugly, that is also playing a very critical role when it comes to the strategies that, as leaders, as cyber leaders, for the enterprises that you are considering. And if I combine the maturity and this strategy mix approach, this is a quick heat map that I would like to showcase, and I'm sure you would agree to this that when organizations are at a basic level, they are more driven by the compliances, the generic industry practices. But as they evolve from standard to fully integrated, automated, predicted security, the security becomes as a key component by design. They are more proactive when it comes to risk management handling rather than having a reactive approach. So, this is how the journey changes of an enterprise in terms of the adoption of strategies. Now, while we are talking all this, we also captured that what are the various aspects of cybersecurity tools and components in terms of investment that are playing a critical role. So, this is a bubble chart that gives you a quick snapshot. This is a chart of current market share in terms of infrastructure and investments versus what cybersecurity leaders are saying will happen in the next 4 to 5 years. And if you'll see the size of the bubbles are changing, which denotes each and every tool, it showcases the prioritization in their respective organization. So while this is an aggregated version, we clearly see that, and I'm sure this would give you a quick glance of the BCG matrix, where we used to have the star performers at the top. Just like that, we have strategic strongholds, where the current share or the current prioritization is also high, and definitely that will increase in the coming 4 to 5 years also. And that lays with data security, data management, and incident reporting. Because on a daily basis, you are generating a lot of volume of data that will continue, and so will these solutions. So if the OEMs are here, I think this is where the major bets would go from the side of the CISOs. The next would be the emerging bets, where we clearly see cybersecurity resilience, risk management, and cloud security is coming in picture. Now, cloud has been there with us for more than a decade now, but somehow still enterprises feel a major majority gap when it comes to cloud security. And this is there persistently year on year as what we have noticed. Now, last year there was a new entrant when I was presenting this, that was AI and Gen AI. It's still under the radar, but definitely it is into consideration by the CISOs. And if I see that over the last 2 years, how I've been presenting the data, how has been the movements? These are the major movements that has happened over the last 4 years. Now, data security has been there as a stronghold for the organization for the last 3 years. Cyber resilience has been playing that emerging bat and continue to play that as for majority of organizations. Thank you. The main aspect that we have observed is about incident reporting. While it has been attained a maturity level a few years back, but with increasing cyber attacks, that is something which is going into really consideration among the cybersecurity leaders. Now, when we talk about cyber resilience, it is there in our strategy. Everyone talks about it. But how much is it there as a strategy versus a struggle? And this has clearly come in the surveys, where while everyone is talking about that we have to become a very cyber resilient organization, they face a lot of challenges, a lot of struggle in terms of working against the legacy systems, getting that heads up or buy-in from the C level, even the fragmented tools that they have. So these have been the major concerns, and it is pretty evident because right now, if I see only 1 in 4 organizations perceive them to be resilient enough. So majority of them are still working against these challenges, against these struggles. That's a long way for enterprises. Now, we talked about cloud, that how while we have been there on cloud for more than a decade, but still that gap exists. And the ones highlighted in yellow are the something which have been consistently the main challenges for enterprises, be it about the known vulnerabilities, training the employees, configuration settings, or API management. This have been a consistent challenge among the enterprises when they are working across their cloud strategies in the enterprises. Now comes AI and cybersecurity. Now, AI is definitely adopted by 1 in 8 organizations, like that's like 12%. I would say another 38% of the enterprises cited that they would be definitely incorporating AI in some or the other level, be it in terms of generative AI, your predictive analytics, ML, deep learning, NLP, and automation. But when we asked them that, where exactly is it getting integrated? These are the clear cut heads where the integration is there. Now, the ones who have already integrated AI in their system, 96% claim that it is pretty effective when it comes to identifying threats, doing a predictive analysis, preempting them, giving them those green flags beforehand. So that is the kind of effectiveness that AI is bringing on the table. But there are definitely its own set of challenges. When it comes to explainability, it comes to risk exposure or data exposure that is there in their mind. These are certain top of mind of concerns that the CISOs, as in you have shared your voice against AI. Now, while all these aspects are there coming, the investments are definitely increasing. The best part that gets highlighted over here is that we have 43% of the enterprises who already have a separate budget for cybersecurity, which clearly indicates that it's not been considered as a cost center. It's been considered as a value centric LOB within the enterprises. And the overall notion is pretty positive because they feel that the overall budget is sufficient for them. They also believe that this is definitely increasing. We have been asking this question year on year that how much budget do you think that you will be increasing? And the ones highlighted in blue indicate what they mentioned last year. So, at an overall level, 87% of the enterprises mentioned that their budgets will be increasing. And what actually happened was pretty close. 89% cited that they actually got an incremental aspect in their budget from their C level. However, for the next year, the budget percentages are slightly less comparatively, but definitely it is on the positive side only. Now, as I come towards the end of my session, key insights or say cybersecurity compass that is going for the next 2 to 3 years, which we observed were that cybersecurity is definitely being looked as a business lever within the enterprises rather than cost. The overall architecture in terms of AI is getting consolidated. People are looking for a more consolidated approach with AI with their existing infrastructure. Zero trust is becoming de facto. Be it in terms of cloud, where this becomes more evident, zero trust architecture is here to stay and more flourish. Cloud security, with the existing architectural gaps, it will always remain a concern because this is where the organizations need to assess clearly, the OEMs need to clearly identify, and let's hope this gap eventually fades away. Apart from that, we have the next frontier, which is the application security, is where we are seeing a lot of opportunities because this is where the identification of gaps in terms of the tools development, that is what has been said, and here is the major leveraging factor going forward. Apart from that, we are also seeing that the SOCs, how they are transitioning. When it comes to observability, a lot of visibility is expected, a lot of transparency is expected. So that is something which would be expected from the enterprises and from the OEMs, that how they will work around this. A lot of movement will be seen over there. Cybersecurity talent, the resource gap is there and it's consistently over there. So, ensuring that your resources are upskilled, trained, relevant to the specific technology will continue to be a major gap. And last but not the least, autonomous cybersecurity and resilience engineering. This will emerge as a key aspect when we talk about next 2 to 3 years. So this is something that our study from Strategy clearly indicates would be there as a major trend for the next 2 to 3 years. And thank you so much.